Hello, thank you for having me today. My name is Damian, and you hired my local firm to inform you guys on the current ongoing war in Afghanistan. And according to a recent poll from CBS News, it actually polled that 1 in 3 veterans actually oppose the war in Afghanistan. And you can't really blame you guys or any kind of American that does oppose the war in Afghanistan, because right now we are facing the longest war in our nation's history, and everybody knows that as a war progresses, the more unpopular it becomes. And I know you guys just want to bring our military men home safely, and I have that same feeling as well. So today, I'm going to inform you on the current ongoing war in Afghanistan in 3 key points. First, I'm going to inform you on the buildup of the Afghanistan government. Secondly, I will inform you on the progress being made with the Afghan military and its police forces. And thirdly, I will be informing you on why we should think of Pakistan and the Taliban as the same. So, the current Afghanistan government right now is a democratically elected government. The problem with it, though, is it is very weak and it is very corrupt. So, the federal budget in Afghanistan is actually at $4 billion, which is a very low budget, and its annual GDP is at $11 billion. That's only 10% of what it's actually making itself. 90% of that comes from foreign aid. And the problem with it, because it's such a weak government, it doesn't know how to actually organize all the stuff that it's being brought into, so it doesn't know how to dish out all the money that it has, making it not very reliable. What makes it a very corrupt government is because even though the Afghan government doesn't reach much past Kabul, it also, where it does have power, is known to be notoriously corrupt. And on the upside, its inflation is in check at 10%, even though 10% inflation is actually very high. And its GDP is at an annual 10% growth. Yeah. So that's good on the upside. Secondly, now we have the Afghan military and its police forces. This has actually improved much since it first came about. Let's rewind back to 2003. In 2003, Afghanistan only had 6,000 troops. And in 2008, they had 58,000. That's a 52,000 troop increase. That's a lot, but it's not enough to support that big of a country. So, in 2009, they created a new strategy to help boost up the Afghanistan military. And in 2009, they made an increase to 143,000 military troops. 2 years later, they increased to 352,000. Now that's a much more significant amount than back to 2003 and in 2008. And those 352,000 were ready to take over U.S. military control so that they could get on the way with their own government. Out of those 352,000, 95% of them were paired with coalition forces. And out of those 352,000, the ones that were military forces were in fact doubling the amount of successfully led operations that they had been doing. Now, when it comes to the police force is the most visible form of kind of security that a government has. You see police force everywhere. Same goes for Afghanistan. Now, Afghanistan, according to Charles G. Cogan, he's the chief of Northeast South Asia operations of the CIA. He says that the people of Afghanistan felt that their security forces could not protect them from foreign invaders. Now, the problem with that, they thought, okay, well, let's make a solution to that. So the solution was, let's intensely train 3,000 troops, or not 3,000 troops, 3,000 police officers per year doing just that. And since then, the people of Afghanistan have been working with the police officers in Afghanistan to point out where the enemy forces are, creating a much greater bond throughout the country. Now, moving on to getting our U.S. troops out of Afghanistan. We're supposed to be leaving by 2014, and that's when the Afghanistan security forces will be taking that place. So, in order to do that, Michael O. Hanlon, Senior Research Director at 21st Century Defense Initiative at Brookings Institute, says that although we are going to be building up that massive army for them, it's not going to function because they don't have the proper funds to
take care of that kind of an army. So what he suggests, and in 2011, they actually came out with a new strategy to help build up the Afghanistan army, but it would take a lot of our time to help Afghanistan. It would call for us to help Afghanistan recruit, vet, train, and equip 300 to 400,000 troops in Afghanistan. That's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. But if you think about it in the long run, it's a very well thought of investment, because we won't have to worry about Afghanistan anymore. And we can just leave it up to them. We can check in on them periodically, but it makes for a better cause. Now, when you think about Pakistan and the Taliban, you really think to yourself, who are the Taliban? Well, the Taliban are a predominant group in Afghanistan, which are known as the Pashtun. The Pashtun also reside in Pakistan as well, though. And the problem with that is, well, not the problem. Pashtuns make up 40 to 45% of the Afghanistan population. That's a very large percentage. And most people would have you believe that the CIA created the Taliban out of the Afghan-Soviet War. That isn't true. In fact, the Pakistan ISI, which is the Pakistan Intelligence Agency, created the Taliban back in 1992. We were successful in uprooting the Taliban out of Afghanistan, but the problem was that we couldn't prevent Osama bin Laden's escape into Pakistan, which is right next door to them. Now that created the problem because Pakistan doesn't want to attack their own countrymen, their countrymen being the Pashtuns. And our problem with that was that our war was not with Pakistan, it's with Afghanistan and the Taliban. So it creates a problem. So what Michael O'Hanlon, again, Senior Research Director of 21st Century Division of Defense Initiative at Brookings Institute, says that even if we were to bring in more coalition forces to help battle the Taliban that were moving freely in and out of Pakistan through Afghanistan, it wouldn't be enough, because we would have to work with Pakistan to come up with some kind of way to root out the Taliban, so that and any other kind of extremist any kind of forces that are there, so that they have really nowhere to run to, so they can't recoup and regroup and just get stronger. We would have to root them out so that they have nowhere to go, and so that they have to fight with their backs against the wall. And unless we can do that, we will always have a problem with the Taliban, because they'll always have somewhere to run where we have no jurisdiction in. So today, I informed you on 3 key points on the current ongoing war in Afghanistan. First, I informed you on the progress of, or the buildup of Afghanistan's government. Secondly, I informed you on the progress of its military forces and its police forces. And thirdly, I informed you on why Pakistan and Afghanistan should be thought of as the same. So thank you so much for having me, and I hope this information that I've given you today will help you make better informed decisions on the current ongoing war in Afghanistan.